Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another Star Wars review. Star Wars Tales of the Empire. I meant to do this a long time ago, but I forgot, and I figured might as well do it while on the time of Star Wars Day and Revenge of the 5th. I'm a bit late on that part, but yeah. I'm hoping this review will be like 30 or 20 minutes, though granted. I think the last time I did this was like nearly an hour or two, so who knows? But yes, after a while, after like few years back, you had Tales of the Jedi, these little mini shorts of Dooku and Ahsoka. Let's see, there was going to be told that there was going to be a second season. Everyone thought it would be another like Tales of the Jedi, where we see more adventures of other Jedi characters. But in some ways, you could argue that ended up being the case to some extent. Let's see, it turns out the surprise was it was actually Tales of the Empire, in which it would tackle characters have an association with the Empire. The first was Morgan Elsbeth, one of the main villains from the first season of Ahsoka. I must admit, I still need to review the last episode of Ahsoka before the new season comes, so I won't give too much spoilers for this for that episode when it comes to this. But also, what many Clone Wars fans have been waiting for, the long-awaited fate of Bariss Offee after her betrayal of Ahsoka and the Jedi in the season 5 finale story arc, if you will. So yeah, there was quite a few interests for some of those fans in regards to that one. Morgan Elsbeth, not really. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I guess it depends on how you felt about Ahsoka, really. But yeah, mostly people were excited for at least the Bariss Offee storyline. But anyway, once again, of course, 6 episodes and May the 4th, which is now becoming more of a recurring thing as there's now Tales of the Underworld. Anyway, it's gone on long enough, so I'm going to get into summaries of the first episode. The episode begins with, of course, hold on, whoops, that reminds me, I just need to share my screen first, as I've got a few images I want to share while I'm doing this, just so people know what episode I am at. So, yep. The first episode sort of begins with episode 1, The Path of Fear. Let's see. This episode basically begins with like the Battle of Dathomir, which was shown in the 4th season of the Clone Wars, in which the droid army fights the separatist forces, where we see Morgan Elsbeth among the Night Sisters with her mother, who is called Celine, fighting some of the battle droids, and until they end up encountering General Grievous, in which Grievous ends up battling her mother for a bit, where she's using the sort of same I guess you could say mythical Night Sister blade things that I think Morgan Elsbeth sort of uses at some point against Ahsoka during the series. I might be spoiling too much for the last episode in that regard, but yeah, Grievous eventually kills her by getting out a third blade after a bit of a decent fight. Morgan Elsbeth tries to flee, but the droids surrounding her, and she ends up being knocked out, but then discovered by a by a bunch of cloaked figures. This turns out to be a different type of clan. This turns out to be a different clan that also resides in Dathomir, called the Mountain Clan, which their leader is someone called, I believe, the Mount. Well, we don't know the name, but the matron of the clan. And as well as her daughter Naila, who offer her protection and give her informing her about what happened to her people, and also point out the markings of the Night Sisters are now gone as a result, showing her what has happened to her people. They try to offer her comfort, but Morgan Elsbeth is just filled with rage. The leader says that she can stay as long as she wants, but she is just too much of grief to take the hospitality and all the revenge stuff. Some time goes by, And Morgan Elsbeth has made a bit of let's see, a little time has gone by, and Morgan Elsbeth seems to be sort of making a few at least acquaintances here. But you see that Nail and some of the other witsy young witches, mountain witches, if you will, fear what if Grievous attacks them and all that stuff. The head tries to dismiss this and just try to get them to focus on maybe some hunting instead. Let's see, and Morgan Elsbeth ends up just going a bit skeptical about all this, since there's no telling that the Separatists could come eventually here. But the leader insists that as long as they leave the droids alone, they will not be attacked. So even though, despite the fact that she tries to at least convince some of the others that there are some weapons she can find for them to defend themselves at the very least, at least with the two friends. Nella tries to talk to her mother, who is the leader, of course. I might have already mentioned that, but yeah, just realizing that now. But she is dismissed, saying that they must stay to their ways. Eventually, Morgan goes out with a bunch of the witches to find, the two witches' friends to find the thing. Naylor tries to persuade them not to, but at first, but she gets persuaded to tag along. They find the weapons. Morgan particularly finds weapons similar to her mother's, but the droids spot them and attack them. One of the mountain witches is killed, and then Naylor gets caught up in an explosion. The mother witch ends up just seeing the battlefield from the background. Harry ups to arrive down using her sort of mystical light powers, if you will, to defeat the droids. She finds her daughter dead. And you can see that Morgan Elsbeth is visibly disturbed at the very least. While the head witch carries her daughter, who apologizes for not following their way. And as the other one is any other, remaining of the three witch youngsters ends up picking up the corpse of their friend. The head says that Morgan Elsbeth has clearly chosen her path, in a sense of banishing her from the from the witch clan, as I believe Morgan Elsbeth seems to have at least. Morgan Elsbeth might have some bit of regret, maybe, as she's now alone, ending this first part of the episode. First of all, my thoughts on this part of the this episode, this first one, I thought was, in some ways, I think it's arguably the best of the Morgan Elsbeth ones, as you get to see get explanations okay, how's she a part of the Night Clan, because it's as far as the Clone Wars has portrayed it so far, the Night Sisters have all been sort of Dathomirian, some sort of Dathomirian Zabrak hybrids, if you will. Now we learn that there were actually sort of human witches who were also part of the clan when Morgan Elsbeth was revealed to be one in Ahsoka. So yeah, we see a bit more of the human ones amongst the Dathomirian ones, and you get to see the more Dathomirian massacre, if you will. Arguably, it's one of my favorite. It's arguably my favorite battles in the Clone Wars TV series, because you basically got the Separatists winning again, so it's nice to see that, and it's nice to see Grievous being a ruthless killer, taking down Night Sisters. I mean, one criticism the Clone Wars always had was that Grievous did not really always be intimidating villain, but here I think he was done quite effectively. Even though it seems to be a mix of the ruthless side, but also sort of the cheating side, as when he, of course, draw that third lightsaber just to kill off Morgan Elsbeth's mother. But anyway, I do like how we got a new batch of a new group of witches and Dathomir, this sort of mountain clan, but they follow a more peaceful, light-sided path compared to the more Night Sisters' dark side, if you will, and I guess you could say assassination, like abilities. I do like how the sort of let's see, you got sort of a bit of a clash between Morgan Elsbeth and their leader of like when to take action and when to not. I do like how she's, despite the fact that the leader was willing to give Morgan Elsbeth a chance to at least choose her own path, even though she's probably from an opposing clan with different views and ideologies on the Force or magic, if you will, or Force magic, however you want to call it. But yeah, so I do like that. But I do she's at least willing to think. But I do like how you got many of the youngsters in contrast to the elderly leader, including the elderly leader's daughter being a bit like fear and worried about, okay, if the Night Sisters will attack, what's to say we won't be attacked and next and all that stuff. And there is that sort of genuine fear where like one tribe is like witnesses like the destruction of another and wonder like, should we interfere? Should we get involved or should we stay out of it? We surely won't be the same fate will happen to them. But of course, as we know, war and I guess you could even call like genocides don't really care about whether or not one is involved or not in some cases. So you can see why the idea of getting some sort of weapons for the fence is sort of necessary. Of course, in a sense, they're both sort of proven right in one regard. That like clearly they need to in some ways, Morgan Elsbeth is right that you probably do need some weapons to defend yourself, but arguably she ended up, of course, looking for trouble, which got a few of the witches killed, and not really trusting the fact that, as the head witch said, just because, I choose not to fight, it doesn't mean that I'm defenseless, as the mother witch shows her like light powers. I do like to sort of contrast how it's a bit more bright and light, and it's like contrast to the Night Sisters' dark magic. In a sense, like but yeah. Anyways, she was the elderly witch was right about not getting involved, which Morgan Elsbeth did get them, and as a result, a few of the younger witches died, including like the daughter of the leader. So I do like how you got that sort of like consequences of Morgan Elsbeth's actions, and she gets called out for that part at the very least. But yeah, it's kind of like sad that she could not really let go of her anger and revenge. Though you can understand why. Otherwise, she might have had a maybe more peaceful life with these mountain clan witches. Anyway, like I said, overall, this is the best episode. I will give this a sort of a 9 out of 10. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm now going to go on to the second episode. And this is the episode where Morgan Elsbeth, as you can probably see from this image, where she meets Grand Admiral Thrawn, the Path of Anger. Where this one we see Morgan Elsbeth has become magistrate of that planet that she was a part of in like The Mandalorian Season 2, where she's trying to sell the TIE Defenders to like Imperial officers, but this one Moff called Moff Isedan, does not agree with like the costs of all that stuff. She eventually learns that the Empire will not interested in her weapon, her own skills, but rather the resources of the planet. That Corvus does like just want the resources of Corvus, so she's not exactly happy about this. But she ends up meeting Galatic Empire, who many people might know, who was Thrawn's right-hand man from the EU Legends. As they talk a bit more about the ship's design, he talks about how his superior sent him, and we probably might show some sort of clean interest in like this thing, but we see at least in particular her visions for the Empire. They put on sort of like at least nice Britsy terms, but she ends up lying about why she's doing this. Eventually, you have Morgan Elsbeth arrive on the back on the home planet, where you see like a bunch of like the citizens, some of them aliens, some of them humans. Let's see, and of course, like the sort of village sort of or town head. At least the guy was magistrate before Morgan Elsbeth, but they asking like, "Are we going to get what were you promised us?" And when she reveals no, they get angry and start to kind of riot and complain a bit. And she just concludes that these not my people and all that stuff. But eventually, she gets ambushed by one night. Gets ambushed by Rook, who fights her a bit. You see the crowd cheering as hoping that she will get Etsy killed, but she manages to disarm Rook, and then you get Etsy Captain Pelion telling Rook to stand down, revealing to Morgan Elsbeth that his Britsy superior, Admiral Thrawn, is sort of was testing her. And they meet, and then they end up talking with Thrawn, talking about like the problems of the declining of the potential threat of the Empire's decline with lackluster leadership like that. Moff that declined her. But she talking about how she wanted to test her talents and thinks she's viable. We're revealing that he also knows that she's from the Night Sisters. Ends up asking her why she wants to join the Empire properly, and she talks about how revenge and all that stuff. So, the two reach a sort of partnership. So he gives her part of her fleet to like govern the planet as they wish, as the citizens realize that they are not escaping her anytime soon, if you will. So, that ends that bit of the episode. My overall thoughts on this episode, to be honest, I definitely say it's the weakest one. I mean, okay, it makes sense that we see how she ended up owning the planet and meeting Thrawn. Granted, I feel like this is like a bit of a huge time jump where we don't see how she got to this position, but nevertheless, I think it's fine. But yeah. I do like how she tries her best to like persuade for the TIE Defender. And it's interesting that this is where the origins of the TIE Defender actually are. It's actually her idea rather than Thrawn's. So that is interesting at the very least. So as Thrawn was very adamant on like the Starfighter over like the fleet of Starfighters like that rather than the Death Star. So I do like that little aspect there. Let's see. I do like how you've got, of course, get like the standard corrupt Imperials. That's like going like, nah, we're not interested in like your tech. We're just interested in your resources. In a sense, one might say it's a bit more relevant than today, depending on who you ask. Let's see, with like politics and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. I do like how we learned that the reason why she managed to control the plan in the first place was because she promised prosperity to the citizens, but the citizens no longer buy it and want to protest. But unfortunately, they're surrounded by her HK guards and all that stuff, so there's nothing they can do until like Rook comes along, which they hope that he would kill her. But no, they don't realize that regardless of what happens, they're going to have at least one problematic enemy. But yeah. I do like seeing Rook again, this time with a more detailed Clone Wars type of field design rather than Rebels, so I thought his design looked kind of poor there, but it's nice to see him with the Tango in action again, though of course Morgan Elsbeth wins. Never wait, it was a pretty decent fight in terms of choreography at the very least, so yeah. I'll give you perhaps because they're not using lightsabers, but yeah. As I think the lightsaber effects and the props are not exactly the best at it right now under Disney, but yeah. But yeah, I do like I like the bit of the fighting and all that stuff, and then of course Thrawn appearing, and then is able to talk about why he believes in the Empire and why he needs to try and fix it one day from like the corruption from like certain Imperial moths. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good part as well. And then asking Morgan Elsbeth what she wants, and of course revenge is a desire, which we'll get to see more on the title of the episodes a bit later. So yeah, overall I thought this episode felt like it was missing a thing or two. I mean, it's like it did highlight the parts of like meeting Thrawn, if you will, Morgan. And we also got a bit more new information that the citizens of the planet did give her a chance, but then she didn't keep the promises, and then put a harder leash on like the program, if you will. Let's see, on the planet, if you will, from like for like the Empire's benefit, if you will. So there's that. Overall, I'd say probably like a 7.5 out of 10. Decent, but not as good as like the first episode. So yeah. Anyway, the final part of the episode, basically, oops, let me just scroll that up a bit. It's basically Morgan Elsbeth, let's see, in the aftermath of the Galactic Empire's fall and how she was planning for like Thrawn's return, if you will. Let's see, some time has passed. The New Republic ship has come back, and this time with one of the alien citizens that you saw from like the last episode in the background. Not really not really someone you pay attention to, I guess. But yeah, oh yeah, this episode's known as the Path of Hate. Let's see, yeah, the ambassador's called Nadaru, if you will. From my understanding, she is. Well, no, it hasn't really given the name of a species, but yeah, it's kind of like aquatic kind of thing in some regards, but yeah, at least the species, but I'm not entirely sure I'm being accurate. Let's see, in that regard, but yeah, she's come to get the planet to join the New Republic, but of course the actual leader of the people warns that it's too dangerous, Morgan Elsbeth now, and all that stuff. And it is interesting to find he hasn't really learned about the New Republic yet, showing sort of tight grip that Morgan Elsbeth has. She goes to confront Morgan Elsbeth about joining Republic, the planet joining Republic, and her standing down for trial. She refuses. A skirmish involves killing all the 5 guards in the conflict, even though they took about a few of the droids down with them. But let's see, the ambassador's ship is blown up. She dies of her wounds, not before giving advice to like the actual village head. But let's see, Ventress using like what happened here as a warning against and even holding the burning of trees to prove a point. So telling the French not to mess with her, if you will. But not sure that really exists in Star Wars. But yeah, so you've got that, and then Morgan Elsbeth then comes along and destroys the device that she gave to let's see, the village head, that hoping that he will like let's see, hope he will contact help for the Republic, but New Republic, but she destroyed it, of course, which is a bit of a smart thing. But yeah, it definitely sets up the events of Revenge of the Sith quite well. I mean, not Revenge of the Sith. I mean the episode of Andor that Ahsoka appears. Sorry, I've just I did watch a little bit of Revenge of the Sith earlier, the Star Wars Day, so there was that. Anyway, this episode a bit better than the second episode, but not as good as the first one. I do like how we see more of the New Republic soldiers and forces, making it more similar to like the Mandalorian show. So yeah, that is officially their military uniform. I do like how the leaders just like showing concern and learning the fact that they didn't quite hear the news that the Emperor is dead, so they can't really have that false sense of hope while Morgan Elsbeth is about. And I do like how you've got like one of the ambassadors being a more background character you might have saw in the last episode, but no, that's let's see. she ends up becoming a bit of a leader herself, if you will, trying to getting the people to rejoin the Republic. Granted, I think she was foolish to just only have a few guards when she probably should have brought an entire garrison just to deal with Morgan and Elsbeth. But yeah, thinking that her social political standing will save her, but of course it doesn't. So but yeah. And I do like how she's quickly to dispatch the new Republic soldiers, as well as this senator causing an ambassador causing massive explosions. She tries to give her a warning of help, but it's not coming, as the Inquisitors use the Force to take it away, subjugating the citizens of this planet for a bit longer. So yeah, honestly, I think for the most part, good stuff. So yeah, I give it an 8 out of 9. 8 out of 10. So yeah. Anyway, I might have said the review before, but that is me done with the Morgan Elsbeth storyline stuff. As we have seen how she survived the massacre, how she met Thrawn, and now how she's what she did before the events of Ahsoka. I mean, The Mandalorian season 2 came along, so yeah. Overall, I'd probably give this story probably a 7.5 out of 10. Good, but not as great as the other Tales series. But anyway, I'm now ready to discuss the more really important, the storyline that more people were interested in, the fate of Bariss Offee, as we begin her story. As we can see, the image gives a bit of spoilers, but I'm sure most people probably already know if they're watching this review. But this episode follows Bariss Offee waking up from a nightmare of Jedi being slaughtered, only to see the temple being destroyed. She tries to ask the guards what's going on, but they silence her, saying lucky she's not considered a Jedi anymore, otherwise, well, Order 66. Eventually, she is rescued, and eventually she has her cell opened by the, I believe it is the, this episode, of course, is called Devoted. This episode, she's encountered by the now fourth sister, who was called Lynn, to the Jedi Order. She reveals that she doesn't really go by that name anymore, and also that she was right about the Republic and the Empire, talking about the propaganda lies of Palpatine trying to be assassinated by Mace Windu. But yeah. So she shows her around a bit, I guess, and then she ends up encountering 2 more Jedi Padawans I think she's familiar with, who recognize her for being in the temple bombings, if you will. The Grand Inquisitor shows up and gives them a little laydown about how the Empire has replaced the Republic and what their roles will be. One of the other 2 Jedi is just not really buying into it, so he decides to leave. But we find out the next day that he was sort of killed by the Empire for trying to desert, despite being given the opportunity. So that ended up happening. Only though a little piece of his remains survived, little piece that was left of his remains, if you will. So we have that. Hold on. What else is there? Oops, I might have gone a bit. But oh yes, basically, after one of the students is killed for trying to leave, Bariss ends up being escorted with the Grand Inquisitor for training, while the other one is with the fourth sister. Bariss at first fights like a Jedi, but then after using her anger a bit more, finally starts to do a bit of a hit on the Grand Inquisitor. And then, of course, you have afterwards the sort of final test where they must fight each other to the death as one lightsaber, as Bariss tries to defuse the situation. the other sort of Padawan Jedi Knight refuses and just grabs the lightsaber, trying to attack her. She eventually wins by force choking her opponent, killing him, and then becoming the next new Inquisitor for like the Empire. She comes in with a bunch of other Imperial Inquisitors, including the let's see, Maverick, I think his name is, from like Ahsoka from the first half, and the Inquisitor that she sort of killed in the last season of Star Wars Tales. Not sure if that's like the sixth brother or not, but yeah, nevertheless, the character's back in Vilnius for background, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, basically, these four Inquisitors then are greeted by Darth Vader, who's their new master. They bow down to him, and they hear the chanting, "Long live the Empire," as Bariss puts on her helmet, ending the episode. Let's see, first of all, I do like how we finally get to the part of how Bariss Offee had what happened to her after season 5 of the Clone Wars, and we've learned that she's been in prison for the majority of the time, which is to be expected, but she was spared because she called out against the Jedi. So I think Pat just thought, okay, can I try and you having other Chris is going like, okay, I can try and let's see, recruit her into like the Inquisitor program, and which of course she sort of does to some extent. Let's see, she doesn't have a skeptics, sure, but she hasn't really have a shot besides going back into the cell. So yeah, there's like that. So I do like how we got that little dark recruiting process, but yeah. You know, I do like how Morgan, no, not Morgan, I mean, let's see, the fourth sister has a bit more character here compared to like Kenobi, who felt like kind of pointless when she didn't really do anything, but just a background character. I figured like at least a lightsaber fight against Obi-Wan before that happened, but no, I guess I was wrong, but yeah. But anyway, I do like how she's sort of like the dark temptress for like Bariss Offee to join the sort of Empire and the Inquisitor program, so there's that. I do like also how we got to see this sort of the Water Imperial base for the Inquisitors. Let's see, it's still on like halfway construction. So yeah, Mars Empire members like saying hurry up, others saying like give them time. But I guess let's see, that's not the case. But let's see, with like building building for like the Inquisitors, but nevertheless it's still at the moment functional. So yeah, I do like how we get to see how an Inquisitor's trial happens. If you attempt to flee, you're dead, as we saw with that one student, and then you end up being tested to use your aggressive actions in the Force. So I do like how the Inquisitor taunts Bariss until she finally snaps, pushing him back, causing him a bloody nose. So yeah, I do like how we got to see that part of it and all that. So yeah, that was kind of fun seeing that part, and also, well, granted, I suppose you could say it's a bit of a criticism about not actually getting to see the death of like that one Jedi. I was like, no, what, this is not what we signed up for. I'm out of here. But of course, gets killed by the Inquisitors. So yeah, not a smart move of going on a ship with Jedi killers. So yeah, let's see. What was I? Oh yes. I do like how we got to see at first we see that the more experienced vet Inquisitors train the others to use the dark side force, with like we see with Bariss Offee until she finally snaps and then pushes the Grand Inquisitor back. I am a little disappointed that the Grand Inquisitor didn't talk about how his own history was affected after seeing her trial and all that stuff, but I guess there wasn't really enough time, but yeah, to show that kind of thing, but yeah. So I do like how we got to see like the trial going on until finally, like as you probably expected, death match with one lightsaber, winner take all, and lucky for Let's see. Lucky for let's see Bariss that tune of the Force was a bit stronger. Let's can use her anger to strangle the her attacker. That's the other fallen Jedi to his grave. So yeah, he ends up passing. But Bariss, I do like how Bariss feels a bit of doubt for the decisions that she's made a bit, even if only for a brief second. So yeah, that sort of ends the episode where and I guess my sort of review for the Devoted. So yeah, oh yeah, Darth. I do like how Darth Vader shows up, even only briefly, and yeah. Forgot to mention this bit. So but yeah, I do like how they're just all bowing down to like Vader. Granted, I am curious to see if Vader does recognize Bariss Offee for screwing like her own Padawan. But let's see, by framing her for a crime she didn't commit. Who knows? Or he just feels like that doesn't matter anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that Imperial, let's see, eventually loses his career or not. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see in that regards. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Overall, I give this episode another 9 out of 10. I thought it was kind of like good seeing the sort of like, let's see how the Inquisitors get trained and how Bariss Offee, the Jedi that was deluded by the Jedi Order, it could be taken into sway a part of this and do some horrible acts, if you will. So yeah. So anyway, that is the views on the 4th episode. Now onto the yeah, the 5th episode, in which you see Bariss having a mission with the 4th sister in order to find a missing Jedi. She wants to try and take him in, try and take him, not check him, this guy in alive or not, or not any prisoners. But the 4th sister has other plans, as she sort of interrogates an entire village to where it is. But Bariss gets a kid to tell her where the Jedi is, and let's see. Well, despite the fact getting information, the 4th sister still kills everyone in a fit of rage for not telling the truth earlier. So you do have that part, though only the kid survives because he took the information. Eventually, they're traveling up. Bariss has always been having a bit of doubts about how the Empire's handling things, especially a bit earlier about not helping starving things, but the 4th Sisters does not seem to care. They're all saying that they're only here to follow the Emperor's will, if you will. So there is that. I do like how you got that sort of contrast with like Padme and even her own stuff. But whether or not he turns it around, we'll have to wait and see in that regards. But yeah. But oh yeah, eventually there's also like climbing up to like the mountains where Durbus nearly falls on Bariss Offee nearly killing her, but she manages to survive to see evil fourth sister in combat with like a Jedi, if you will. Eventually, she joins the fray to try and persuade her to stand down, but she gets stabbed in the back by Bariss Offee, where let's see, the Jedi is still alive, but Bariss is like saying just to leave it. Eventually, let's see, as they're heading back down, Barra, after a bit of a snark, but I think let's see, I'm just trying to remember the name of like let's see, senator, I guess. Oh well, I cannot remember. So but yeah, I do like how let's see, but for Sibis basically says after every Jedi, but Bariss, seeing how far let's see Lynn has fallen, declares herself a Jedi, and they let's see, look like about to fight for a bit before let's see, Bariss Offee uses like the Force to push her off and then take the injured Jedi with her. We don't really know the fate of this Jedi, but she either died or is like still alive somewhere and hiding. But yeah. So yeah, I do like Basically, this episode is basically Bariss actually seeing what the Empire is actually like, seeing people that need to be helped, but the Empire refuses, only to like get information. And even when they do, there's no guarantee you survive if you got some like the Fourth Sister chopping up everyone just for hiding some information, except for like the kid spared them. But yeah, but it's like a very traumatizing sort of event for that kid, I guess you could say. But yeah. As hold on, let me just get back. All right, here we go. As Bariss is just trying her best to be, in a sense, still a Jedi, just trying to get this kid to tell him the details. When she does, she thinks it's fine, but the Fourth Sister, of course, or Lynn, cuts down anyone anyway for not telling the truth. So it's like that kid is arguably traumatized. Will he seek revenge of the Empire? Who knows? But I do like how this starts to get doubts and Barriss's role within this new Empire, if you will. Especially when it seems like her fellow comrades don't care for her, particularly when they're like rock dermis on the cliff, if you will. But yeah. But anyway, I do like how hold on a sec. Just gonna just refill my drink a bit. Sorry about that, but I do like how you just get like this Jedi who's able to take on both the Fourth Sister and Bariss at separate points during the thing. But you get Bariss Offee just trying to do the talk of like that's just a bit different path for them. Of course, the Fourth Sister is taking no prisoners, and I do like how basically after all this, Bariss Offee is like, you know what? I'm done doing this. I am a Jedi. Let's see, I will not do this anymore. And of course, the Fourth Sister, I do like how the Fourth Sister doesn't hesitate when you get a traitor amongst the ranks, which is arguably technically the first, but Vader can have two other Inquisitors as traitors. But yeah. Arguably, I do like how she's able to just use the Force push to push like the Fourth Sister out from the off the cliff. Now, granted, probably going to survive that, but yeah. Anyway, let's see. And I do like how she seems to try and help this Jedi that was just wounded from the fight, who was just basically broken down. Let's see, from all that hiding and all that stuff. Let's see, but was just about ready to surrender. But of course, let's see. Now she's not going to be alone with Bariss, at least for a while. We don't know what happened to this Jedi in the end, but I wouldn't be surprised if she died from the wounds she faced from the Fourth Sister. So yeah. Overall, I think I give this episode probably a 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10, where you're just basically seeing Bariss just trying to be a Jedi and not realizing she is still a Jedi until like the very end, after seeing all the civilians killed, backstabbing after making a promise. So but yeah, I can see when like the concern for even her fallen enemies, if you will. So yeah, despite her like previous attempts, she's seen the area of her ways and now is about to try and become a better person. So yeah, I do like that little aspect of this episode. Anyway, now on to the final part of the episode. This episode was, I believe, of course, called Realization, which is fitting for the title. And then finally, the final episode, the way out, if you will, in which this episode follows like at first what seems to be this young couple that's with their like a baby, if you will, and ran into this like a sort of white badger like mole, polar, little mole like creature at first, who was hiding in the snow, trying to show them the way to like the healer, if you will. There's a guard outside, but let's see, they let them in as Bariss reveals to the couple that their child is force sensitive after like having a blood test by the Empire, who wants to capture all force sensitive children to either make into Inquisitors or a fate worse than death, if you will, which we do kind of see a little bit of an Obi-Wan in to some extent. So yeah. Let's see. So we do get that, but I do like how Bariss talks about how let's see how she is similar to this child being picked by a giant, traveling the galaxy with her master before losing her way. You can see it's a wrinkle. She's a much more older and wiser Jai as a result of all her experiences. Offers to take the family, and then her crypty staff members who wants to stay and fight alongside her to take her shower and leave, saying that she has a friend that can help, which I'm thinking implying that is Ahsoka. Well, she deals with the fourth sister, who just makes a bit of a comment about how, since when I'm not trying to find you, I find you. So there's that. Bariss, of course, keeps her busy at bay for a bit. She cannot seem to will not draw a lightsaber, and then the fourth sister tries to swing her, but then notices the child escaping. So let's see, Bariss warns her that you won't find your way in that cave, as you lack sort of the proper directions and need a guide, if you will. But the fourth sister, or Lynn, goes anyway, as Bariss still keeps calling her. No matter how close she seems to get to the family and Barriss's allies, they just slip through her fingers until they eventually take off. Let's see, the fourth sister, in a bit of rage, tries to attack everything before accidentally stabbing Bariss, who is trying to help her. She seems to be dyeing her arms, talking about how trying to encourage that more. Let's see, the fourth sister. There is a different way out from the Empire. It seems like the fourth sister is finally willing to listen, finally sort of starting to redeem herself, starting to turn back to the light. Tries to desperately get help for Bariss Offee as they leave the cave, only for wild rodents to watch, ending that episode. Arguably, this is probably the if you ask me, the best episode of the Tales of the Empire. Clearly, some time has passed as Bariss is much more older. I do like how she seems to have made some friends and allies that Retsu, while portraying as becoming a healer and all that stuff. Particularly these parents who want to know what's wrong with their child, since the Empire was inspecting and wanted this child. But yeah, of course, not realizing that their child is force sensitive. I do like how Bariss, way she talks about the Jedi, kind of romanticizes a bit, but also sort of acknowledging her own flaws and the wrong path she's done in that sense. But yeah, I do like the sort of turn for her. And I do like how it seems like it might be implied that she and Ahsoka eventually met again and then sort of made up for wrongdoings in the past, if you will. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm hoping that it's Ahsoka, but that we'll ever see Ahsoka commenting it on the live action. But we'll have to wait and see in that regards. But yeah, anyway, what was I? Oh yes, yeah, I do like how Bariss is just inspecting the child and then confirming that okay, yeah, he would have been trained as a Jedi if not for the Empire, but now they're coming to kill your kid. So I do like how he gets the Betsy parents to flee on the ship that he has for herself, willing to sacrifice herself because, well, that's what a Jedi would do, if you will. But I do like how she's at first not trying to fight the Betsy Grand Inquisitor, but let's see. Hold on, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, sorry, I just kind of forgot for a second. Bariss is it's just let's see, found peace and tries to avoid fighting as much as possible, even when the opponent has a lightsaber. So I do like that little aspect of the episode. I like the sort of maze part where she tries to betray let's see, when she tries to portray herself as more balanced than the fourth sister, if you will, who just cannot let her anger go. And I do like how she even tries to keep Sweat trying to tell her out of trying to search for them in the maze, because it's you need to guide them there, but they don't really have one at the moment. So yeah, I do like how she just seems to get close to the family to try and capture it, only to be not too late, can't do it. So showing some sort of, maybe there is some sort of mystifying force powers there or not, but yeah, at the very least, there's that. But yeah, and I do like that they managed to escape. So whether or not we'll see these characters again, who knows? But I do like the sort of touching moment between Bariss and her crew, saying like, "This is goodbye" and all that stuff. So yeah, I thought that was good. But I do like how the fourth sister took out the rage and to realize, oh, I stabbed Bariss, and despite the fact that she wanted to kill her earlier, Lynn has shown to be that she still does actually care about Bariss Offee. I do like how Bariss tries to, even like as she's dying, to help her let go of her hate. But whether or not Bariss survives or not remains to be seen. At the moment, it's ambiguous. But it seems like this night, it's the fourth sister wants to make sure that Bariss is alive, if you will. I mean, so I'm just trying to think where I was at, but yeah, trying to like see if she can survive. So but yeah, overall, if I had to like score this episode, I'd probably say it's a let's see, 9.5, maybe even a 10 out of 10, if you will, where basically we've got like this family with like a force sensitive coming to the Barriss's help. She informs them and all that stuff. Betsy sacrifices herself so they can escape. Deals with like the fourth sister, but not really being aggressive back. Finally seeming to find that peace, and sure her Etsy and the maze is preventing her from doing anything. But until like she loses control and then stabs Etsy Bariss Offee. Whether or not that's like I said, you see her survive. At the very least, it seems like the parts of like her story, for the most part, has been concluded with like the stuff of like the Empire with Bariss. What did Bariss do after being treated like a criminal for like what she did to Ahsoka? There's a story there where they made amends, I think, from what it's hinted at, but we'll have to wait and see that apart. But yeah, it would be nice. But yeah, anyway, other than that, yeah. Overall, I definitely say that the Bariss Offee episodes have been stronger. I definitely say they're probably an 8, even 9 out of 10 overall. Let's see, I'm just seeing the Inquisitor training, Bariss becoming deluded with like the Empire's brutal methods before trying to actually help someone from within the Empire see the error of their ways, if you will. So, yeah. So I do like some of the little parallels you have with other Star Wars storylines. Granted, I will probably say that let's see, I do like how the fourth sister, who was barely a character in Kenobi, is now an action antagonist here, but one that does seem to have a jitsy good side in her. It just took Bariss to sacrifice herself just to make sure that happens. But yeah, overall, yeah, I'd say 9 out of 10 for this one, about 10 out of 10 for like the Morgan Elsbeth one. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed these Tales of the Empire. It's good seeing them again. I need to watch them a bit more often. But yeah, now that I'm done with that, I will probably be ready for like Tales of the Underworld at some point. But let's see, when I review it, it depends. No, probably not this late, but yeah. Anyway, for now, let's see, I am Blue Star Saber. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I'll see you next time. May the Force be with you, and goodbye for now.